Hi, and welcome back. Nothing in life is guaranteed. Throughout my life, I've been really fascinated by this idea of change and how we as individuals move through the often, turbulent, rough waters of change and how we continue moving through it. It's funny that as I write this, I'm reminded of this cycle of impermanence. In the backyard right now, our neighbors are gathering all like the dried and dead leaves and, building a fire. And it's in this fire that you see this constant breaking down of what was. The ashes go back into the ground and there is a rebirth and life again. And it's in this process of change that we exist in this world as we know it. So maybe this is taking it a little bit deep on the topic of intentional parenting, but I do think this holds true in our lives as a family. And I think the sooner that we can kind of accept this idea of impermanence, the easier it is for us to move through life and the challenges that we're faced with. Change is most certainly inevitable in a household where there is children. I mean, we can see it on a daily basis as our kids are exploring and experiencing new things. They're experiencing life in completely different ways through the developmental years. They're experiencing feelings and thoughts and ideas that are constantly changing. There's this constant swinging back and forth of the pendulum as children experience life in new ways and develop at different stages and really find their own way of being in the world. Now, we as parents, we want to try and support and protect our children as much as we can, but I think it's also this idea of impermanence is something that they need to live through and live with and work through as they grow and develop. And it's our own acceptance of impermanence and this constant idea of change within our family that allows us also to be a little bit more at ease and accepting of what's happening with the dynamics within a family. And this is often really difficult as a parent because we've gone through different stages where they've needed our support, our love, our understanding, our help in different ways. And so now, as the children develop, it's starting to learn how to balance, when to let go, when to give a little bit more space and freedom. And I guess the question is how? How do we do this? How do we find this balance between strength and protection and support and letting go and giving them some autonomy and space and freedom? And I don't think there's any real easy answer, but I think one is this acceptance of, this constant feeling of change and evolution and emergence. And the second thing is that I think about this often in that, we're expecting a lot from our youth, and I think it's important to recognize what's going on in these different stages of developmental years in their life is that, they're experiencing a lot of big things and big emotions and things for the first time, which takes a lot of our energy and takes a lot of ourselves to really process. And yet we're expecting them to perform, to produce at a very high rate at a very young age. And I think this is something that I've noticed as our kids have been more self-directed, in that because they've had this time to sort through a lot of these big feelings, emotions, and experiences, they're a bit more centered and aware of themselves as individuals, as people, and how they can learn to move through these experiences now and in their adult years. But I think when there's this constant pressure to perform and produce, we don't allow them that chance to really, go deeply into these experiences, and because they don't, they lack that understanding and the sense of their own identity and that adaptability to deal with this constantly changing and evolving experience. I thought it was kind of interesting to listen to Bruce Lee, who describes this idea of dealing with change and impermanence, of being like water. Now, he's a martial artist and an actor and a philosopher, and this idea of being like water is this skill of being able to adapt and be flexible. You know, it's like water, when you spill it onto the ground, will fall and, you know, take up the space that it is in and fall into cracks and crevices. But if you pour it into a cup, let's say, it takes the shape of the cup. And I think this is what we can learn as parents, is to really try and be like water, in that, you know, we're adapting and changing and growing as our children are. And if we can move with them in that growth and development, not only will it be easier on us and our relationship, but it will also show them this idea of impermanence, change, adaptability, flexibility for them as they get older. As a parent, I'm just trying to breathe. I think we put a lot of pressure and expectation on ourselves, and society puts a lot of expectations on us to manage and control situations within our family. But if we're going to be like water, I think we need to maybe take a step back and really breathe, try to understand, try to have some patience, and really believe that the experiences that they're having and the space that we're giving them is going to guide them in their future. And to trust that we can't control or manage, you know, many parts of their lives. To know that I can do only my best to listen and support and understand and communicate at the best, in the best way that I can, and when they are ready to receive it. And I can stand in my place as an intentional parent and be as open, honest, and as vulnerable as I can. If this idea of intentional parenting and impermanence was interesting to you, you can click here for more thoughts, ideas, and concepts on intentional parenting. Thanks for watching. I'm Janine from Remindful Life. Until next time.